Hey y'all, welcome back to the P-Well channel. I figured out what I want to do. I want to turn this channel to something fun but informal because we've lived a life of formality for so long that I want this to be a cool experience. I want you guys to actually get to know me, like the real me, my authentic self. And I think on this journey of leaving Jehovah's Witnesses, it's important for you to find yourself, right? No one's ever taught you how to find yourself as a Jehovah's Witness, like at all. And if you grew up any type of restrictive religion, that's just not what the goal is. Your goal is to serve God. But when you leave those circumstances and you're no longer under a law of strict rules and regulations, you have the freedom to do whatever you want to do, right? But what happens is that some people, they leave and they go crazy. So I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can heal from growing up as a Jehovah's Witness or any cult, any high control group. So the 3 things you need to work on immediately right after deciding I am not going to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. One, you need to figure out your integrity. That is number one, because your integrity is so important. And when you grow up in those spaces, whether it be Jehovah Witness or Mormon or strict Catholicism, whatever the case may be, your integrity was based on other people's principles and other people's ideals on how you should live your life. But a lot of times those ideals are based on keeping you lowly in mind, keep you in a humble state. And sometimes the spirit within us, who we really are, is not naturally humble or isn't naturally lowly. We have a voice, we have a reason to speak. But within those organizations, they want to close your mouth. They want to keep you quiet. They want you to stay in a follow the leader status. But I feel like we're in a new age, right? Where we're not following the leader of anything. We are going to dictate what we want to do in our life. Do you want to celebrate Christmas? I don't know. That is up to you. I'm not here to tell you how you should live your life. That is completely up to you. And that's the wonderful part about life. But that's the most scariest part too, because now you are responsible for the choices that you make. And so, okay, so how do we figure out our integrity? So I want you to do this little game with yourself. So what you do, you write down all the people that you admire, be it your father or your mother or your Oprah or a famous singer or a famous writer or your cousin or a teacher in school. You write them all down, and then you write one thing that you admire about them. And at the end, look at that list, and then you will see that is your integrity, because whatever you see in other people, that is who you are. So I'm writing my list. I'm like Beyonce, because she is super confident, and I'm sitting here doubting my confidence. But if I can see confidence in others, then I should be confident too, because this is how it works. People only project who you are, right? So if someone is mean to you, it's because you are an aspect of them that they desire to be. And so when I was in the organization, I realized that a lot of people were mean to me because I was a bright light. Like, I didn't belong there. I didn't belong there at all. And I wanted to speak. I wanted to share my knowledge and share the things that I learned, and I was just so restricted in those spaces that I wasn't allowing myself to be me. And so that brings me to number 2, spend time alone. It is so important for you to spend time alone and find a hobby you like to do with yourself. They say that if you need music or TV in the background, that means you're not okay with your own thoughts. And if you're not okay with your own thoughts, that means you don't really like yourself. I I really hate to admit it, but I was guilty of it too. I would have to go to sleep with the TV on or have the music playing in the car because I didn't want to listen to my thoughts. But your thoughts is where the healing resides. It's like a mountain. Like you gotta climb. We gotta climb that mountain. But on that other side of that mountain, there's healing, there's restoration. And so it's so important for you to spend time alone. I know we're so not weird because I'm past those things, but I know that people are so concerned about making new friends and having new communities within their life, but honestly, you need to be by yourself so you can heal. Because remember, you attract what you are, right? So if you are unhealed, you are going to attract unhealed people. And you don't want any of that in your life because you want to be around people that's going to uplift you, build you up. You want to be around people that is going to help you to discover your spirituality if that's the direction you decide to go. And I want to point at this point, you do not have to abandon the ideal of spirituality because someone robbed your spirituality from you. There is a higher power. I will say that. How we describe our higher power, that's a whole nother conversation. But again, remember, you attract what you are. So healing yourself, being the best version of you, is going to attract high energy people. And then you collectively can be great versions of yourselves together. It ain't nothing worse than leaving a high controlled religion and being in a vulnerable state, and then someone coming in, seeing you in those states and take advantage of you. And I'm not going to go out and say, well, all non-Jehovah's Witnesses are mean, but you have to be conscious of where you are at emotionally. We're human. Sometimes people take advantage of you by accident. People don't do it always on purpose. People are healing from their own traumas too. You think being in a cult is bad, but other people have experienced bigger traumas. So we have to respect other people's healing journeys too. And number three is so important to read. I challenge you to read a book every 2 weeks, and I or a book a month. Like, I read so many books last year. I read like at least 100 books. I read books about new perspectives about spirituality, like Journey of Souls. If you got an opportunity to read that gave me some relief about the ideal of the afterlife, because I'm like, okay, are we just dying? But then when you recognize that we're like spiritual beings, that there's energy within us. Remember in chemistry, they said energy, or physics, that energy is not created or destroyed, right? So there's energy within us, right? There's energy here. So when we pass away, surely that energy, by science, okay? By science, that energy is out there. So I don't want you to totally abandon the idea of spirituality. And instead, I encourage you to look at the history of spirituality on this journey of my self-discovery and finding out that my religion was a lie. One of the first things that I did, and I've been doing this for years on the low and the secret, is just really getting into history of religion. Go back to ancient Egypt and you'll realize that a lot of the stuff that came from the Bible came from Egyptian mythology, and how history constantly repeats itself, that the Norse mythological gods and the Egyptians and the Asian, Chinese, and Buddhist religions, all their gods were pretty much similar. It's almost as if everyone is talking about the same thing. And that same thing isn't literal. And you really have to really change your perspective on how you view the Bible, because we were taught to look at things so literally, when ideally a lot of those things that we read were just metaphors. They were just stories to help us to understand the deeper aspects of ourselves. And so on this journey, I choose not to stay negative. and staying negative and being upset and crying is not the space that I'm in right now. So if I'm going to add more videos to this channel, we're going to talk about healing going forward. We're going to talk about bettering ourselves, becoming better human beings, because this is the bonus. This is the bonus. Um, this is the bonus advice. All right. Remember that we are setting the example, and we're not going to allow the brainwashing to get into our head to make us to believe that, oh, now that we leave the religion, now we're going to be a prostitute, now we're going to sell drugs, now we're going to be this and that, everything bad, and accept an amazing human being. You're an amazing human being. You survived a cult, and not only you survived a cult, you woke yourself up from it. You are a survivor, and that is something to be proud of. And not only a survivor, like you're genius, because you broke the code that maybe our parents or our grandparents or even yourself got sucked into, but you figured it out, and that's something to be proud of. So next video, we're gonna talk about something as healing. I'm never gonna break down the watchtower. I've already said that, but anyway, on to the next video.